Welcome back to the Signal PopCast, and this is part 2 of our Star Wars special. Reminder number 2, we are going to be talking about spoilers, especially in this one, more than the other one probably. And if you want to watch part 1, make sure you go to UHCL's the UHCL Signal YouTube channel. Now, just to kind of reintroduce our guests one more time, I'm Alyssa Shotwell. I'm one of the producers of the Signal PopCast. And we also have
Rhys Griffin. I am a filmmaker and an alumni at UHCL.
Troyllon Griffin II. I am the assistant editor on the UHCL Signal, and I am a Star Wars enthusiast.
Are you alumni as of Sunday?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Okay, I didn't know you were alumni, but we just had our graduating class for the December of 2017. All right, so. In this one, like I said, we're going to be talking a little bit more into spoilers and in depth about parts in The Last Jedi. So let's go with the positive stuff first. What were the best moments in the movie, or the strongest elements of the story?
Okay, I'm going to go first. Did you want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Just check. I didn't know if you were about to say something. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just say, I think the best part, hands down, one of the best parts is Yoda showing up in Star Wars. Again, like, for the first time in so long. Like, for me, that was the thing that really caught everyone's attention. Because I will admit, there were people who, at least around me when we were seeing the movie, their attention was starting to drift. They were like, I don't know where this is going. I'm losing my attention. Some were considering closing their eyes and stuff, but the second the screen panned and showed that glowing green balding head, everyone stood up, everyone cheered and stuff. Like, that was just amazing. Like, it's Yoda. You don't even have to say anything because you know it's amazing. It's just, I'm sorry.
Yeah, your theater was a lot more noisy than mine. I went Friday afternoon and nobody did anything throughout the whole movie. I was like, for real? This is Star Wars, man. Come on.
Really? I'm surprised.
My theater had one moment.
Dang.
When they shoot through the dreadnought and it goes silent, you heard, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, it was like an echo, kind of like when Rey had her reflections.
Yeah.
How it was like, she snapped. That was our theater making reactions. Honestly, I'm going to say, it was like about 20 different reactions. I'll say 5 of them were people just doing it to do it. But there was some genuine, like, holy moly, that just happened. Plus, it was silent. There was no music or sound when it happened. So,
Jeez.
Yeah.
the woes, that was the only thing you heard in the whole room.
But but for me, the strongest element, I would definitely have to say, was, I guess, going back to Leia and her history, I would definitely say that her being a nobody was a pretty good thing. I mean, it could be a bit underwhelming at first, but...
Wait, did you say Rey or Leia?
Rey.
I heard Leia.
You said Leia, but you meant Rey. Go on.
Okay, my apologies. With Rey, her history, when it turns out she's nobody and her parents were just some drunks that sold her for money, I was like, oh, wow. But man, girl, I want to give you a hug. And maybe be your boyfriend, but I don't know. Because I will not lie, I kind of have a thing for Daisy Ridley. But beyond that, I am kind of glad that, they went that route. They didn't make her... Because when they showed that reflection and I saw the shape, I was like, oh God, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because it looked like him from episode 2 at first. And then when she wipes away the fog or whatever and it's her, it's like, I thought, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I was quite relieved and everything. I really am glad that, her parents were just nobodies and all. Because I think it fits. And there's a really good article that I think a lot of people should read out there about The Last Jedi. It's called... The Last Jedi doesn't care what you think, and that's why it's great. And as unprofessional as the title is, it's a very well-written article that really talks about why it did things it did. And Rey's parents being nobody is a testament to what Star Wars has always been about. Back when we only knew Luke as just this farm boy, Leia as a princess, Han as this smuggler, Star Wars was about the fact that anybody could rise up and help defeat evil. Rey being just some girl that's a nobody instead of descending from a long line of powerful Force users, that's really a testament to the idea that this is a new generation that is being taught that anyone can stand up and fight against evil. In this case, be the resistance that destroys this evil First Order.
Yeah, another thing that I had to say is I like what they did with Luke.
Yeah.
I know that Mark Hamill said he was a bit, cautious about it, but I like what they did with it because this is a guy that's been through a lot. I mean, yes, he was a hero, but his nephew, his mind was tainted by Snoke, and so he's like, I gotta save my nephew. I gotta end this darkness by killing him. And they show the scene where he's about to kill him, and it's the green lightsaber. And I'm like, oh wow, they finally brought that back. But it's like he's about to kill Ben Solo with the lightsaber, and then he pauses and is like, wait, this is my sister's kid. I can't do this. Plus, I mean, it's not his fault. And then just like that, Ben awakes and sees the lightsaber, and he's like, oh, you done messed up now, Uncle. And that's pretty much where everything started. And Luke blames himself, and that's why he's all depressed. So he has an excuse, and it's a good one. So he's hesitant to train there I go again. Rey, but then he's like, okay, but we're doing it my way, not yours.
For the longest, I held the opposite view. I agreed wholeheartedly with Mark Hamill. I just didn't feel like Luke would do the things he did in this. But it took me, really thinking about what you just said and all that, the reason he's so down in the dumps, to put it lightly, is because he did something that Luke wouldn't do. Luke, I know, would not try and kill his nephew. And the fact that he was going to do that, Luke himself kind of realized, what the heck am I doing? This is awful. Now, it's still up for debate as to why he decided he needed to take that step in the first place. But, nevertheless, I really did get why Luke did things he did, except I really wish he wasn't as hesitant to train Rey. I really wish that he'd been more willing, at least, and everything. To me, I just really am questionable. I feel like as soon as he heard that Han was dead, he should have been more willing to get out of there and just try and save the day.
I think my favorite moment would be the battle scene in the Royal Throne Room. I loved it. I loved the colors. I loved the whole maybe not necessarily how Snoke died or that he died so early, but I love that it was by Kylo Ren, because on the dark side it's always the two. So because if the apprentice had an apprentice, then he would want to be the master. I see that, and the apprentice always kills the master for the most part, and they did that again. So I was excited about that. I also like that he reached out for Rey, because when he reached out and he asked her, we can just start this over, and because everything that has led up to this point, in the original 3, in the prequels, even before that, if you look more into the lore, it's pretty messed up, and sometimes you just want a clean slate. Now, clean slate to him meant kind of killing a bunch of people, and I think that's part of the reason she didn't want to be a part of that. Also because he had already kind of moved to the dark side, but his intentions, you can see, he believes that he's a good person, and he's doing the right thing, and I really like seeing that.
Could I add on to that one thing you said? Okay,
yeah.
About him wanting to start a new slate. I think that, honestly, in terms of the lore of Star Wars, what I really love about this movie the most, the way the Force was handled and just how the approach was regarding the Jedi. I like that it acknowledged the Jedi were not these perfect people and stuff like that. Because the thing is, the prequels, you can kind of see it a little, but some people still think Anakin shouldn't have turned. But when you watch the Clone Wars series, the CGI ones of the Star Wars Clone Wars series, you really see that the Jedi aren't that perfect. The Jedi are caught up in their own dogma, and that's why they ultimately pushed Anakin to the dark side. And I think it's interesting that this movie really acknowledged that, the Jedi and Sith are hardly better than one another, and that the Force is all about balance and all of that. So I really did think that was an interesting touch, and I liked the writing with the Force. The way the Force was handled, especially considering that it wasn't George Lucas writing about the Force.
All right, so now that we've said all the positive stuff, maybe let's talk for a few minutes about the weakest moments or the weakest elements. It could be one thing, one line that ticked us off, a character, anything like that.
The weakest moments, I would definitely have to say, the thing with Admiral Holdo was her name.
Purple dress?
Purple hair?
Yes,
Purple
yeah,
dress.
Holdo, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Laura Dern's character.
Ellie from Jurassic Park.
Okay, but anyway, what she did, I guess they were trying to make her an antagonist for some reason, but I think it's because of it turns out she's actually obeying Leia, and I mean it this time. She's obeying Leia, and she's, trying to, take him to Crate, the mining planet, but I think that all she had to do was say something, she wouldn't have to put up with a rebellion, but no, she kept secrets from her crew, and Poe got upset, and it's like, I just didn't think that was necessary, personally. I get that there could be conflicts with crew sometimes, but it just didn't mesh well with everything else that was going on, in my opinion.
Despite them coming together to form the Rebel Alliance, it's still they're trying to defeat. It's not. Is it called the Empire in the new one?
First
Order. To defeat them, there has to be some sort of militaristic setup, and the highest person up doesn't have to tell the grunt or the private every little bitty detail of their plan. So I could see how that would be frustrating. But if they're gonna keep some I guess realism to it, it makes sense why she didn't do it. I wish the audience knew. That would have been cool, but also it was a twist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't a lot of twists in the movie, but that was one of them.
To me, one of the more weaker elements, was I do think that this movie is the longest Star Wars movie, and there were just certain sections I felt could have been toned down. Like, I'm very cut down the middle, but very barely. Like, honestly, my 50-50 is about to turn into a 33-67. About I can't remember the name, but the casino, the whole casino scene and all that. Canto Bite. I really don't think that was necessary. I mean, I see why it was done. I admit.
At the end.
At the end, I see why it was done. But at the same time, I felt like it could have been a bit cut down. Like that whole sequence where, the animals are freed and they're rampaging through the city and stuff like that. And just the whole process of escaping. Like that could have been just toned down. Like I felt like they were trying to make it was too long and they were trying to do it for action or adventure's sake. And they didn't have to do that, honestly. Like, yeah. And I'm not entirely on board with the whole Rose and Finn thing. I did kind of feel like, Finn was trying to look for Rey and all that. I felt like, they should have stuck with that instead of the Rose girl and all that. Also, no lightsaber duel. That speaks for itself in a Star Wars movie. Just saying.
I'm going to agree with you on the casino. I listened to some reviews after watching it because I was like, it was long. What made it so long? It was a casino scene. That was a big part of it. And I loved it, but I feel like it could have been this big deleted scene when you got the Blu-ray and you could have watched it. Or it being pre-released as a section, kind of like in Spider-Man: Homecoming, where they had the YouTube thing. Except they actually did put that in the movie, but something where they released it on its own and it got people excited for it. Now that knowing that a lot of people have mixed feelings about Rose, maybe that would have been a bad decision. Yeah. But I would have liked to see it outside of Star Wars. The main story, because it felt like the anthology movie. It felt like a little Rogue One scene was put in the middle of it.
And the thing is, that's why I'm cut down the middle about it, because here's the thing. This movie really tries to emphasize that Star Wars, the Star Wars aspect, like what Rogue One was trying to emphasize, this is a war in space. Like you can tell from the opening where it's like, really feels like a war and a battle and stuff like this. I appreciated that they were trying to acknowledge that, the rich people in the galaxy are also involved in this war. So I like they were trying to talk about the more gritty parts of war, but I just felt like it went on too long and everything.
the two things you can take out of that 40 minutes, only in regards
40 minutes? It was that
Oh,
long?
sorry, it's probably not 40. I don't know why I said
okay.
that. Okay, the probably closer to 15 or 20 minutes that it was, actually, is the two things is the kids, because the Force at the end, and just the line, how they said, yeah, we sell to both the Rebels and the First Order. Like, those two things are the only parts that we needed.
Yeah.
And the rest could have been extra for the extended edition or whatever. I loved it. It was shot great. It was fun to spend time with those characters separate from the main story, but it was just a little bit too extra for
I could
what they needed
honestly
to do.
see why they would have had trouble cutting it. I mean, we have to consider Rian Johnson, the director, revealed that the original cut of this movie was over 3 hours long. So
It's still like 3 hours and 14 minutes or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
One other thing that I did forget to mention that I didn't really like was I love that they brought Phasma back and they gave her a fight with Finn,
Oh my god.
but it wasn't that long. It just went like Rian Johnson was like, okay, we have to bring Phasma back. Okay, fine, but bam.
Yeah.
And he's like, take that.
I think it's safe to say Phasma is like the Boba Fett of this this trilogy, in that she looks cool. You keep hoping she's gonna do something really awesome, and then she just goes out like it's nothing.
Yeah.
That
feel
was
the same.
disappointing.
Okay, so our last bit, we're just going to kind of combine this. You can say either or. Expectations for episode 9 or expectations for the Solo movie, Han Solo's origin story that's going to be coming out May 25th of 2018. So maybe just one or two things about them. Theories?
Theories for episode 9. I don't know if it's going to be... I don't know if anything special that's going to go down, but I do believe there will be a final fight between Rey and Kylo Ren. General Hux will definitely be doing something huge. He could backstab Kylo Ren, but...
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of tension.
Yeah, in fact...
he was even going to shoot him.
Yeah, in fact, I almost thought he was going to be the villain of this movie, of episode 8, but until, Kylo Ren did all his stuff, and then it's like, wow, okay, But yeah, I do think that Kylo Ren and Rey are going to have their fight. Poe will definitely have a big space battle, which I forgot to mention. I love the space battles of episode 8. But Poe could, be doing his pilot duties. He'll probably get a new craft. He'll probably be leading a squadron. I don't know what Finn's going to do, but I am curious to see. Like, could he be the gunfighter of the series? Could he be another pilot? Could he be like Rey's sidekick? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. As for the Solo film, we'll definitely see Han and Chewie for sure. The Millennium Falcon, we're getting that. There was a Hot Wheels listing for all the vehicles and stuff that are going to appear. We got names, but we didn't really get to see them. Yeah. All I heard is that the Millennium Falcon's going to get a new look, but that's all I heard.
Of the names of the Solo movie, main thing we have is casting. That's like the only thing they're giving us. Like Woody Harrelson as Han's mentor, which I'm excited about. Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones is cast listed as Kira. There's nothing about her though, so I don't know if they're just saying that because she's Emilia Clarke or if Kira's important. And Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, is going to be Lando Calrissian, which a lot of people I've heard. Everybody's pretty excited for that.
Yeah, and Ron Howard's directing, and he's a great director, so there's that.
Oh, wow, I didn't even know he was directing it.
Okay. Your thoughts?
Yes. Well, my expectation with episode 9, now that, Han Solo is dead and Carrie Fisher has passed, unfortunately, I think that it is obligatory that everyone involved in episode 9 bring Luke back. Not resurrect him, but I think that there needs to be a strong Luke presence in some kind of way because, come on, it demands it. Like, we are not entirely ready to jump on board with just these new characters. Yeah, we still need some people from the original trilogy to hand the torch to them in this final movie. So I really, really hope that they bring Mark Hamill back. Aside from that, I just hope that, they wrap everything up. I think that a lot of the mixed criticism and mixed feelings about The Last Jedi is because it is, The Empire Strikes Back. of this series and stuff like that. And I think a lot of our questions need to be answered in episode 9. I think that if episode 9 wraps everything up like J.J. Abrams is saying it will, people are going to go back and say The Last Jedi was truly great and, you know, all that stuff. And I'm really surprised people aren't being that open-minded about it.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. You kind of stopped abruptly.
Sorry.
All right, so in mine, I really don't have too many expectations. I don't know what they're going to do after what they did in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't expect anything.
Honestly, we know that the children will be a thing.
Yeah.
The Force-sensitive children. I hope that they give Leia a respectable end because she's not going to die in between the movies. If they do, that'll be dumb. But I don't mind if Luke doesn't come back. Unless he comes back as a Force ghost. That's the only way I want him back. And those are my thoughts on that. So,
and don't forget, there could be prequel tie-ins. I mean, if they really want to wrap up the whole series, that's something they could do. They don't have to, but it would be interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So before we end this, there's one tweet that I think is relevant to kind of our conversation about it in Star Wars in general that I want to read out to you guys. It's from Christian Williams, or Captain Christian on Twitter. He's a film analyst on YouTube, film, music, and television. And so this is what he had to say about Star Wars. Good or bad, Star Wars gets people thinking about stories and how they're told. The amount of great content, commentary, and thoughtful criticism born out of that franchise is truly remarkable, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. Ewoks, Porgs, Gungans, and all. And that's kind of what we did here, and probably the conversations you're having with your family and friends. So let's continue that and get excited for the Solo movie. Again, if you want to watch episode 1 of our podcast, that'll be on Facebook and YouTube at the UHCL Signal. And thank you again, guests, Troyllon Griffin and Rhys Griffin, for coming on.
We're not brothers, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, I should have mentioned that. They are not related at all.
Trust me, if you saw us in person, you wouldn't think that at all.
I know, right?
Well, you're Griffin the second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're not related at all. Yeah, thank you guys for coming on.
Hey,
You're welcome.
Not a problem. I'm happy to give my thoughts.
Maybe,
me always.
Maybe after the Solo one, we could have a special one and have Troyllon and Rhys back. That'd be cool.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Totally.
Thank you again for listening, and watch out on social media for our Signal PopCast episode 2.